Welcome to Between Classes, the South Dakota State University podcast about jackrabbit life. Today, we're talking with Jin Hang Ng. Welcome, Jin Hang. Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Jin Hang Ng, and I am a computer science junior from Malaysia. So that means I'm an international student, and in my free time, I like country swing dance and stargazing and programming.
Excellent. Sounds like all those things could keep you quite busy.
It does. So,
Jin Hang, you said you're an international student. You are from Malaysia. Tell me a little bit about when you first arrived at SDSU. What was it like? What did you think of this little place?
I have to say a little backstory about it because my dad was from here, so I got a little introduction to the cold, which he always bragged about having been like negative 40 degrees back then, like 1989 or something. But then I arrived in the fall, so I didn't get that much of it, and I did get to like ease into it. But when I first arrived, one thing that really like stood out to me is how kind people here are. Everybody helps you open the door, because first time somebody dropped me off at Young Hall, and then somebody just kept the door open out of kindness, and I'm looking at her like, what are you doing? So I've seen that. After that incident, I've seen it. It's not an incident, it's just how you are, how Midwestern niceness is. Yeah, I really like that people here are kind and they are very friendly, so my first 2 weeks I did not know how to answer the question like, how are you? How do you answer that? Like, because I did not expect anybody to care about how I am.
Do you have an answer for people now?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. When you arrived here and you had a friendly face hold a door open for you while you got into Young Hall, which is awesome. But what else did you do to try to make friends that first year that you were here?
I just looked for something that interested me. So that for my first year, it would be the Formula SAE Club, which is a club that built little race cars. And people in that club are just so nice. Special shout out to Max Sauer and Alex Kenkel and all the other boys on the team, because everybody was so nice, and yeah, they just made me feel welcome, and I really appreciate that.
And as a computer science major, I would assume a number of the members of that Wild Hare Club, they're mechanical engineers, some electrical. Did you feel accepted even though you were computer science?
Yep, even though I was like more towards computer science, but I found something to do. Like, nobody liked to like keep organized, and like the tools are always in a disorganized state, so there's a big tool chest, and I like to organize that and keep things efficient for the boys. And then I would also do some simple like CNC machining. Any major is welcome, so any level of experience, I do encourage you to join the FSAE club.
As an international student, do you find that you utilize the international office regularly? Or maybe like when you first got here, were you utilizing the services at the international office?
Yeah, definitely. They are so great there. Especially, I think, their partnership with US Friends, where when an international student or any student at all need a piece of clothing, furniture that he or she couldn't afford, that student could just go to US Friends and get those stuff. And how they find out about US Friends is through the international office, which is conveniently located in the library. And there are fantastic people here. And a special shout out to Iz, who's currently working at the desk right now. Just go to them, they will help you with anything like housing.
I love that you brought up housing, because I know you're a junior, which means you could have moved off of campus this year if you chose. And did you choose to do that?
I did.
Okay, so you're living off of campus.
Correct.
My understanding is the process for finding housing off of campus is a little bit different than the process of finding housing on campus. Could you walk us through that just a little bit so that other jackrabbits who maybe want to move off campus for their junior or senior year know what they need to expect?
So I feel like as a freshman and sophomore, I did not really know the timeline of applying, and I have always applied during like July, really like even end of July, and there are still 1 or 2 spots, but not like those that are close to campus, and they are more expensive. So if you really want to get a good, cheap, near place, apply like January or February. That would be very helpful. But for international students, you might not be in the know of things, but you can always reach out to the international office, and they, on their Facebook page, they will give like help. Other students who are looking for roommates post on their Facebook page. And that's, I think, a very helpful place to look for housing.
Agreed, because you need to start looking very, very early if you want housing for the summer. Like if you don't have housing for this summer lined up, it might be too late.
Correct.
What kind of advice would you have, not only for international students who might be considering attending SDSU, but for any student who might be attending SDSU? What kind of advice do you have for them?
Be open to like international experiences, like India night, Nepal night. Be open to like attending them because the food is awesome. And even if you don't attend these international nights, be open to like talking to your friendly neighborhood international kid that you always see in class. Just saying hi would make such a big difference, because as majority you have like privileges that you don't know. You could make a minority person feel so much more welcome. And I have been very appreciative of that, and I do not take that for granted, and I thank all friends who have done that for me.
That sounds like really great advice. Well, Jin Hang, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. This has been Between Classes. Thank you for listening.